Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to be discussing the music that made me. Music that made me sounds pretty vague, I'm realizing. So more specifically, the music that made me love music. Obviously, this channel, Shelby Shuffle Mode, is all about listening to a lot of new music, maybe music I haven't gotten around to listening to yet, but also kind of showing music that I have loved. But I do think that because so much of my content is around exploring music I haven't discovered yet, I figured that maybe some people would be curious to know, as like a reference point or something, what got me so into music in the first place. I could be completely wrong. People could probably not really care about this, but for me, I felt like it was something that I wanted to make because it's kind of like showing you my musical past. These are the songs that I heard from my earliest years in childhood to like maybe my very early teenage years. Like I tried staying in that lane with an exception of maybe one or two of songs that I can specifically remember hearing and knowing that it just like excited me in some way or made me even more invested in reasons why I loved music so much. If you're curious at all about some songs or artists that kind of got me to creating this sort of content where I am now, then keep watching. So how I'm going to list these songs, I'm kind of listing them chronologically as to when I discovered the music. And this is a very, very rough chronological order because I am thinking like way back in time. I'm talking like as early as 5 or 6 years old. So some of it's a little bit of a blur, naturally. The first song we're gonna go with is a boy band pop song. I listened to a very wide variety of popular pop music from the 90s and early 2000s when I was very young. So this first song, though, was one that I listened to this entire album, but I had such an attachment to this song. And that song is No Strings Attached, which is on the album No Strings Attached by NSYNC. It's just a very powerful song. Like it's a very aggressive up-tempo pop song. And from my very young age, I do remember what I loved so much about that song was the ending. That was the first time I really noticed harmonies and layer vocals. And I loved all of the ad-libs. I mean, I didn't realize that's what these things were called at the time, but I specifically remember No Strings Attached being the first song where I actually noticed like vocal layering and just all of the kind of like calling back and forth that was happening. I was really into it. So from No Strings Attached, we're going to go with an oldie that I was exposed to very early on in life, and that is Dancing Queen by ABBA. Dancing Queen was a song that was exposed to me through like older aunts and uncles and my parents, and I remember the joy that Dancing Queen gave me. I don't exactly remember the first specific time I heard Dancing Queen, but all of my memories associated with it in my early childhood days were being with like my cousins. We would listen to ABBA and we were all together and we would just dance and have a good time. And I think Dancing Queen showed me just how much joy you can feel in music. And over the years, what I loved so much about Dancing Queen is just that it's disco pop wonderfulness, but also it was the piano chords. And you're going to hear me talk about piano a lot as I continue talking about this list. I've got a thing for piano. So the piano chords were just so happy and bright. And it was the first song that I remember feeling like pure joy listening to. We're going to talk about two simultaneously, and these are like really, really, really vital songs for me to talk about. And actually, I could talk about at least 10 other songs, but we're going to talk about right now Levon by Elton John and Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding by Elton John. I specifically remember discovering Elton John's music at 8 years old, and there was no turning back. I mean, to this day, he is my all-time favorite musician, but his music catalog was like lighting this big fire within me of wow, I am completely obsessed with music. And it just opened me up to a whole new world of storytelling and lyrics, and how so many of his songs sound so different from one to the next, and the complexity of his piano playing and how talented the whole band is. And Bernie's lyrics are just crazy good. And Levon was a song that I found first, and I just was really attached to the music build of it. Like, it just was something that I had never heard before. I just remember as a child feeling just so inspired and like able to get lost in a song, and the storytelling lyrics of the song too. The piano outro, like the music outro of the song, I remember I would just rewind and listen to the outro over and over, and I hated where it faded out because I could hear the piano was going up on the chords. I was like, I just want to hear that full on. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding is a song from the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album that I first heard when I was 10, and it's 11 minutes long, and it is a masterpiece. Like, I adore that song. To this day, I kind of always say that song as like, if you want to get a good image of everything I love in music, like what I love the most or what feels most like me, that is the song I turn people to, because it's this dramatic, kind of spooky, eerie music intro for half of the song, and it just builds to this like chaotic but very carefully crafted like climax, and then it kind of goes back down again, and then goes into this wonderful like part 2 of the song, the Love Lies Bleeding part, which is just like a up-tempo fast Elton John song. And I think what I love about that song is you can pick different instruments to focus on and listen to it over and over. I mean, I have no clue how many times I've listened to that song. I've listened to that song a lot in my lifetime. It feels like the definition of me and what is like the truest form of music I love. Discovering Funeral for a Friend was my first example of just how artistic music could be, and I could not get enough of it. So what goes hand in hand with Elton John? Well, especially at that point, for me, it was Billy Joel. And I started to listen to Billy Joel after listening to Elton John. And I saw Elton John and Billy Joel in concert together too, when they used to do those sorts of tours. But a Billy Joel song that I have always loved, and I loved from the very first time I heard it, and that's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I love that song so much from Billy Joel's catalog because it is a storytelling song. It takes you through the whole journey of a third person perspective of this couple and how they got together and ended up divorcing in the end. It not only tells a very, very clear and blunt story, but it also has a lot of music shifts and changes that go along with telling the lyrics. So I think just the whole storytelling aspect and the turns the song takes caught my attention from a very young age as something like that is something I love, what happens in music. And if you watch a lot of my other videos, I always talk about how I love when a song can surprise me. And that particular Billy Joel song and Funeral for a Friend, quite honestly, by Elton John, were kind of my first 2 songs in my life where I realized that that was something I really loved in music. Okay, next we're going completely away from traditional artist sort of music. And this is actually a song from a musical. Well, wait, it was a movie first, then it went on Broadway, and then it became a movie again. And that is the song Without Love from Hairspray, but I'm talking specifically from the movie soundtrack of Hairspray that came out in 2007, I believe. Without Love was a song that I remember when I heard it for the first time, I just adored it because I thought all 4 of the cast members sound great on it, but also it was the music, like the strings in it. I just think strings are so beautiful, and I love the cinematic feel that strings give pretty much any piece of music. And also the lyrics were just so clever and funny, but also very heartwarming. Hairspray was the first time that I was able to see a movie musical in theaters, and I think it just made me really appreciate how lost I can get when I'm watching musicals. Like they can really take me away, and I just thought that song was so cute and clever. Next up is a song by John Mayer. It was hard for me to pick a particular John Mayer song. John Mayer's music did have such a vital influence in music I liked to listen to and continue to like to listen to. And the song I settled on is Split Screen Sadness, which everyone might feel like there's not even like a major guitar solo in that song. Like it doesn't have like the Dreaming with a Broken Heart drama or the iconic guitar riff from Gravity that everyone knows. But I think Split Screen Sadness really stuck out to me because the lyrics. One of the things that I appreciated the most, that caught my attention the most immediately, was really the value of lyrics from John Mayer, even though, because the musicality is a given. It's just a given. But the fact that he had that sort of musicality and these just very relatable yet intricate lyrics that is kind of like he had the ability to put some feelings into words that maybe others would struggle with. It's great music to turn to if you need to feel or work through certain emotions. Well, this next song is by Demi Lovato, and it is called Trainwreck. Demi Lovato was someone that when I first heard her sing in Camp Rock, now I wasn't like Camp Rock to High School Musical, in my opinion, like High School Musical all the way when it comes to movies. But the reason why I even watched Camp Rock was because I heard Demi Lovato singing one of the songs, and I was blown away by her voice and how powerful it was. So I was very excited when her first album came out. And the song Trainwreck, I remember I loved because it was a little bit moodier, and I loved the key and the chord choices in it. I feel like a lot of music from people her age that I was hearing was definitely just straight pop. Well, okay, Disney Channel days. Disney Channel days, it was a lot more pop. And Demi Lovato came out being more rock, and I was all about it. And she had the voice to handle it. And the lyrics were a bit more darker and deeper than what had come out of Disney Channel artists to that point. So I was just so excited to see someone as a teenager creating music like that. An artist that I knew I had to talk about was definitely Kanye West. I listened to a decent amount of Kanye West as a child, and that continued on through my teenage years. And one song in particular by him, this song is from 808s and Heartbreak, and I would say to this day, there are other songs I probably actively listen to more from that album, but the very first time I heard the song Robocop, it was truly a moment for me. And I know that because I actually remember the first time I heard that song. It was pretty soon after that album came out. What I adored about it was it surprised me. Like, it had the strings, but it had lots of twists and turns. I just was enthralled with the production of that song. If you look at my list, a lot of the songs up to this point have been very like instrument band based. And Kanye West was the first artist where I really got to appreciate just such creative production in music, like a little bit more electronic or using more technology in music. And obviously was my first true kind of hip hop influence of music that I was listening to. And Robocop specifically was a true moment for me when I first heard it. Like, it was like everything made sense, and it made me seek that more. Like, I was just like, I want to find music that has this sort of a vibe and production to it. The next song is from Ben Folds, and that is called Zak and Sara. Ben Folds, another man who wears glasses and plays piano, but this time he is from a younger generation. Ben Folds and Ben Folds 5, his group, I have just love the music so much because Ben Folds is an insane composer, and Zak and Sara is very much so like alt pop kind of piano song, and the lyrics once again are kind of sad, and I kind of like that. Like Ben Folds' lyrics are very blunt in storytelling. Are you seeing a theme here? I really like songs that just kind of lay it all out there lyrically. I remember hearing that song for the first time and loving it because there are even more intense songs by Ben Folds I could have picked that have more like intricacies or things going on. But I love the fact that it was just an upbeat song with really great piano chords and piano playing. It really is the piano that does it for me on that song. When I heard Ben Folds, it made me so happy because I was a little late to the party hearing that song, first of all. But I had always just listened to like Elton John or Billy Joel to kind of get that piano fix. But then hearing Ben Folds, someone who came along a little bit later in the game, I was like, here's another one. Here's another one for me. And it's just really stuck with me because I think Ben Folds is a great example of true like musicianship and composing. And I just really enjoy the melody. And in a dream world, I'd be able to play his songs, but I cannot. And then my final two songs and this kind of was like the cutoff year, 2011-ish. And these are two pop songs, two true pop songs that made me just feel very revived listening to pop music again. And the first one is Domino by Jessie J. Domino was one of the first songs in a long while that I had heard that was genuine pop, but it did not become annoying to me at all. Like I just loved listening to it because it felt like sunshine and happiness. That combined with her great, powerful vocals. I mean, it's a very lighthearted song, but I needed that again. Like, I feel like when the time Domino came out, I was pretty deep into the more complex music that kind of makes you think or you want to analyze more. And then this breath of fresh air, which is just a powerhouse vocalist singing an incredibly happy and bright pop song. Like I just needed that moment of feeling that again and more of like the lightness and happiness that can also come from music, because music can be so many different things. And that's what I love so much about it. And the last song is probably one of my absolute favorite true pop songs of all time still. And that is The Edge of Glory by Lady Gaga. The Edge of Glory is everything I could want in a pop song. The Edge of Glory, without a doubt, is a song that I would put on a short list of songs that define Shelby. It's so up-tempo and so upbeat, and Lady Gaga's vocals are amazing. The production is good. I love that it's a longer song too. It's like just right around 5 minutes. I think it just made me remember how powerful pop can be. While Jessie J's song Domino reminded me how light and fun it can be, The Edge of Glory it can be fun but also very powerful and intricate. Because when you listen to the production, there's a lot going on. There's a saxophone solo in it. It was just the purest definition and reminder to me that pop music is art. Still, I feel like sometimes people are a little too quick to turn their nose up at straight pop music, and I don't believe in that at all. I think that there is a purpose for everything in music. There are different times you want to listen to different sorts of music, and if you can put those preconceived notions or prejudices aside, you will be a far happier person listening to a wider variety of music and experiencing all of the joy that it can provide. That was an extremely long TED Talk, and I don't think I'm going to get many people that watch the entirety of this video, but I wanted to make it, so I did. I would seriously love to know in the comments what songs were pivotal in your music journey. Like, what songs do you look back on and say or know influenced your music journey? Because we all have those songs in our life. Like there was something that we have heard at one point, either one song or many songs that we have heard that just maybe like made us take a step back and reconsidered why we love music so much. And if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. But thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you made it until the very end. And until my next one, bye.